Hello, everybody. Uh, Welcome back. Today's episode is just a continuation of yesterday's, where I'm just telling a story of a character that I came up with. Last we left off, Elijah had made his way to another hero's house, a hero named John. Reunited with one of his friends who had ended up saving his life after not being kicked out by his mother, but his mother realized that she couldn't give him exactly what he needed at that point in time and decided to seek help from another source. So we're going to start there. So Elijah was at John's house. John isn't the most intelligent man in the world. He isn't a savant with magic like so many of his teachers, colleagues, friends. He's strong. And more importantly, he had a good heart. He was a hero's hero. He let his morals guide him more than anything else. He was very much an ask questions first, shoot later kind of person. So if you gave him a reason to shoot first, then he had a damn good one. It was here that Elijah would encounter what would be his role model. Now, he loved his mother, loved both of his parents. It was rocky at first, but he respected them, and he was grateful. And he wanted to earn his mother's approval, something that can be very hard to come by. It was both a blessing and a curse of his to want this, but he did. And so he began trying to emulate the hero. It was slow at first. At first, he spent a lot of time by himself in solitude. He was rather introverted, shy, even with what would be basically his best friend there. It was hard for him to come out of his shell. But John's children, much like himself, were good people. His 3 daughters had a combination of wildness, passion, and stoicism. His second oldest was stoic and elegant and radiant. His oldest was passionate, empathetic, and kind. His youngest, wild by nature and open, very talkative, extroverted, the very opposite of what Elijah was. Elijah and John also had one son. His son was an ambivert, neither extroverted nor introverted. He got along with people, but he didn't speak much. His son had mental health problems. DID. For those of you who don't know, dissociative identity disorder, formerly known as multiple personality disorder. It made him a little bit more withdrawn, but generally, he got along just well with people. It took them some adjustment periods, but it was never often a problem. Elijah got along well with the youngest, the son, because they were both strange. Elijah got along well with the youngest daughter because she could hold a conversation with him, and she didn't judge him even a little bit. She was interested in him as a person. got along with the second oldest because neither one of them spoke very much, but both of them were very gifted, talented, intelligent, and she liked to help him learn. And he got along with the oldest because the oldest had the most emotional intelligence. They were both empaths, a power in this world. Not just something silly like being able to sense emotions, but being able to work with, influence, and empower other emotions, or even take them over completely. More than just the mere sensing of how another person was feeling, though that did play a part. More than that, she was the one that saved him. He was eternally grateful. He grew close to all of them. He slowly broke out of his shell. And in the middle of that process, a war broke out. The greatest war this planet had ever seen. A war between realms, not physical, dimensional. A hell-like world, a hell-like dimension had opened a gateway and had sent its troops through. This was a process many decades in the making, but finally came to fruition. A truly demonic war took place. One that confused Luna because these were very technically her people. Her people hated mortals because this hellish dimension they were in, they had been trapped in eons ago. And it wasn't their fault. It wasn't anyone's fault, really. But I don't want to get too much into that. It was a misguided war, with everyone's emotions aimed in the wrong place. It left many dead pointlessly. And this war would leave Elijah not dead but broken once again, for he'd been captured and tortured and brought back to that place he had been in many years ago when he had suffered at the hands of his village when he was a child. Many years had gone by at this point. He was a teenager, maybe 16, 17, 18. I hadn't quite decided. Young adult, quite possibly. He was cut into and quite deliberately kept from death for as long as possible. And this left a deep-seated fear within him. When he escaped this, he was under the influence of the dead spirits in that dimension, and the dead in that dimension were damned. And I mean truly. It didn't really matter if they were evil or not, because that world would drive them mad, evil or not, to the point where the only thing that existed was suffering for them and for Elijah, who in his desperation conjured them, accepted them into himself, and used them to fight. Here, his abilities as an empath and as a necromancer would work equally well to destroy him, just as the torture had previously. He was under the unbearable madness of these undead constantly. He'd hear them more than just feel them, he hear them, see them, and he knew, because to him the undead were real. The dead were more than concepts to him. And their madness seeped into him. Now, most people despised the undead necromancers. They cursed him or prosecuted him. Maybe those aren't the right terms, but condemned him, tried to stop him, and this displeased him. Under ordinary circumstances, he might have stopped, but he was going mad. He was racked with anguish and torment constantly. And he subdued these people, forcing undead spirits into their bodies to control them so that they wouldn't quote-unquote hurt themselves trying to stop him. He would win the war himself with an army of already dead soldiers. He brought people's family members back from the dead right in front of their eyes, and disrespected their religions, their cultures, and their traditions in an effort to save them. He created terror. And so, John's children, specifically the youngest and oldest daughter, and another close friend of his, a delinquent and a gunslinger who used enchanted arms, went to save him. Elijah had fallen under the influence at this point of two particularly powerful undead. Him, his army, and these three heroes fought one another. He sought to subdue them as well, to control them, to keep them safe. But he lost. Luna, using her abilities as an empath, forced him to see sense, and using their own martial skill, they subdued the powerful spirits that sought to influence him. Elijah was brought down after terrorizing thousands, hundreds of thousands, possibly millions. He was taken to court and imprisoned. And I think I'm going to end this story there. For now, this part. Part 3 will be next time, and hopefully it'll be the last one. Might not. Heroes suffer a lot, I think. I think it's important for character building. But I think as long as they seek to do well, there's always a chance to redeem themselves. And that's where we're going to start next time. Goodbye, everybody. Sorry for talking so quietly. And this guy is my buddy. I hope you like him. See ya.